Hey guys, it's Hunter. Welcome back to another video. Guitar Collection 2023. It's time. Left it a bit late this year, but it's time to quantify how big of a problem I have, / make the video you can show to all your significant others to justify your next guitar purchase. See, at least I'm not as bad as he is. Now, but I should mention that this is an absolutely absurd collection that nobody needs. It's not something I ever aimed for or thought that I would have. And the only way I can kind of justify it is because of the YouTube channel. So thank you guys for watching the videos, for sticking around, for nerding out with me about gear. Nerding out about gear with other people that actually give a shit about this kind of stuff is the craziest job ever, so thank you guys so much. And I get a lot of questions about which guitars I've decided to keep, what's in the current stable, the story behind some of the guitars, and for myself, I like to document how things have changed. It's like an annual gear diary. This year, it's getting a little out of hand. Shivani has the patience of an angel. You'll see. I don't know how long this video is going to be yet, but I'm going to guess it took me a while to shoot and to edit. So if you end up enjoying it, do me a massive favor, smack a like on the video. It appeases the YouTube algorithm, and 'tis the season. Let's get into it, starting with one of my most played guitars right now. It's my 2019 Harley Benton Signature, or at least the final pre-production prototype. The actual production run sold out so quickly, even I wasn't able to get one, but this was the one that was approved for the rest of the 350 unit run. The idea was to make something unique with the ash top, 25-inch scale length, then roasted flame maple neck, and at the same time fit as much in terms of quality and playability into an affordable guitar as possible. Started with a hard cap of 500 euros, threw in stainless steel frets, glow-in-the-dark side dots, custom voice pickups, locking tuners. I just love the neck on this thing. Part of the reason it's taken so long for version 2 to come out is the neck just wasn't right. I thought it was a regular thin U. That's what it was on the spec sheet. It's actually not. Well, it is in the middle, but it's kind of a little rounder at each end, so it's fast, and then it's super comfortable for the cowboy chords, and there's a little more to hold on to for the upper fret leads without cramping up after long periods of playing time. Super nerdy details, but basically it's awesome, and when I was getting the new prototypes for the next run, the necks just didn't feel right. I kept going back to this one, and it took me a long time to figure out why. The factory had gotten a new machine, and it just wasn't doing the same thing. We figured it out though, so yeah, that's why it's been taking so long, but it was really important to me and for the rest of the Harley Benton team that we get it right for you guys. Speaking of version 2, here are some colors we've been experimenting with. The initial idea for even the first run was to do sandblasted tops, but the factories just couldn't do it at the time, and now they can. So we were experimenting with bright colored grain filler. This blue looks sick. Red straddles the line between metal and cheesy. I've thrown in the Richard Z. Fish influences in there to make it even more metal as fuck. And purple. This was the original idea for the first run, so it's exciting that finally that's going to be made a reality. This time no neck binding, super rolled fingerboard edges instead, and then more cost-effective versions. Love pastel metal guitars, super clean, super fun. This one was supposed to be shell pink, but it's just kind of a slightly not white. And I actually kind of really like it. Threw in Tim Henson's signature Fish influences in there. That's the one with the nylon surrogate voice, and they just look so good. The contrast of the bright colors with black hardware, ebony fingerboard, roasted flame maple necks, and they still have the important specs like jumbo stainless steel frets, glow-in-the-dark side dots, super rolled fingerboard edges. Just super stoked on these. Can't wait for you guys to try them. And then what's this? 28-inch scale length baritone versions and satin black for that clean understated look? Yeah, let's go. And this is where it all began, the very first prototype for the first Signature. It's got hip shot and Fish influence, but it was just too expensive for Harley Benton. It wasn't going to be as accessible as I wanted it to be. The neck joint, I don't know what this is, but that roasted flame maple neck looks real good. This was the guitar that convinced me to work with Harley Benton because I had no idea what to expect when I sent them the initial drawings and spec list. Then this arrived and it was like, damn, this could be a really cool project. Then this is one that a lot of people saw and thought was a prototype Signature. It's not. It's my first ever kit build from Precision Guitars. Water-based stain, then I threw a very simple tongue oil finish over it, which actually feels great. It's super raw. Graphtec ratio tuners. Love this hipshot tone-o-matic bridge, and the bare knuckles in here sound great, but really I'm just pleased that it hasn't fallen apart. I'm taking that as a win. Moving on, I actually own an old school shredder style Jackson now. Who saw that one coming? Not me. American Series Virtuoso. I still don't know how this happened either. It's gonna sound super shallow, but I was never really interested in super strats. Still don't really like the pointy angled Jackson headstock. I may or may not have been fully intending to sell this one after the demo, but I don't know, man. The roasted maple neck, the massive frets, the streaked ebony fingerboard looks really cool. Love a shell pink metal guitar. This Jackson is way more my style. It's a DK Modern 7-string Evertune in this insane gold sparkle finish. Evertune, Fishman Fluence Classics, interesting in a modern metal guitar. Wasn't a fan of the original version. This one looks much cooler. It's finally got stainless steel frets. Surprisingly, there aren't that many ultra modern bolt-ons like this, let alone one in gold sparkle. ESP Standard Eclipse 2, one of my favorite guitars of all time. Up until I got this, I was like, why would anyone pay this much for a guitar when an Epiphone is already so good with good specs? Still wanted one though, because Metallica played ESP, and as soon as I picked it up, it was like a cartoon light bulb moment. It was like, holy shit. This feels incredible, which isn't something you can quantify on a spec sheet. I've had it since 2010. I played it so much I'd worn dents in the frets, and these are not low quality material. Just had it plucked at Sweetwater. It plays like a brand new guitar now. I was so scared of rewiring it. Everything about the guitar is perfect. Finally put gold Fluence Moderns in there because I'm a hoe for them Fluences. Strap locks to protect it as well. I've had this edgy tribal strap since I was like 13. Anyways, whenever I'm testing a new high-end guitar for the first time, in my head, this is the gold standard it's compared to. Edwards ELP112CE. Edwards is one of ESP's brands that do fully faithful takes on the classic shapes, so they're distributed only in Japan. It's a bit of a mystery where they're actually made, but they're at least finished in Japan. This particular one I went on a decade-long hunt for because it's an unofficial tribute to James Hetfield's dark purple satin Les Paul Custom he played a lot during the St. Anger era. By the time I had enough money to afford one, they'd been discontinued for years, and Edwards hadn't made that many in the first place. Finally found one floating around on Spanish Craigslist that by some miracle wasn't a scam. I thought I'd overpaid for it at the time, I just really wanted it, but judging by how much they're going for now, it was actually a pretty decent deal. Threw in Matt Hafey's Fishman Fluences, so it's kind of a combination of gear inspired by two of my favorite metal songwriters of all time. Weirdly chunky neck. Wasn't expecting that on a metal-focused guitar, but the quality is sick. It legitimately rivals my Gibson USA's. Then a Navigator NLP. Navigator's the tier above Edwards. They're handcrafted at ESP's Japanese custom shop. I'd wanted to try one of these for a while, but they're expensive. Every time I saw one on eBay or Reverb, they were like $4 to $5 grand. Finally found one at a really good price. It's a 2008 and it's a little beat up. There are clear signs of aging, but it's legitimately the best traditional Les Paul Custom I've ever played. Better than even my Murphy Lab, which you'll see in a second. The fit and finish, man, is just perfection. It's even got the fret nibs. Holy fucking shit, it's so good. This is one of the new ones and one of ESP's best kept secrets, a Grassroots GLP. Grassroots is the budget counterpart to Edwards and to Navigator, and since I love both of those, I've been super curious about the budget version, especially since it comes in pink flame. Waited for one to pop up at a decent price on eBay, and for 300 bucks, holy shit. This ebony fingerboard and the fretwork are some of the cleanest I've seen on a budget guitar. I still need to make a full video on this one because the hardware is okay at best, but with a couple of upgrades, this could be a huge sleeper build. What do you think of this footage, by the way? I finally upgraded to 4K this year. The B-roll footage is a lot crisper now. The file sizes are also huge. What the fuck? I ran out of hard drive space so quick. So let's take a quick second to thank LaCie for sponsoring today's video. For a few months now, I've been using their too big 16 terabyte external RAID array to archive all the B-roll and final exports for the videos. Not only does it have the capacity to store massive amounts of 4K footage so I can clear space off my computer, but the built-in redundancy from it being a RAID 1 array, which is two identical hard drives that are clones of each other in one enclosure, is such a huge peace of mind. Hard drives fail over time, but since there's two copies of everything, if a drive fails, nothing is lost. Call me old school, but I like to keep local backups of important files instead of on a cloud. It's crucial for confidential documents, family memories, essential work assets. LaCie also has smaller capacity RAID arrays if you don't need 16 terabytes. That's so much space. I have a ton of friends that use their external hard drives for on the go. Their rugged series can take a beating. They're so reliable. So if you're looking for that peace of mind knowing your most important files are in good hands, I'll have links to my favorite LaCie products in the description. Sweetwater has you covered for all your LaCie needs. Love my LaCie RAID array. Can't imagine going back to life without it. And while you're checking that out, let's get back into guitars. My Bach-Lester Edelweiss, no relation to the car. These are made in the Czech Republic, and this particular one has a worn nitro finish, so it's got that creamy vibe, Also feels a little broken in, especially on the neck and fingerboard. I really like that. It's styled after a late 50s Les Paul, so it's got a super chunky U-shaped long tenon neck. Their parent company also owns Plek, which they've done to this instrument too, so it's an excellent player. Rebuilt in 1972, Gibson Les Paul Custom. I bought this a while back as a husk. This was when everyone still thought Norlands were shit and nobody wanted them, so they were actually kind of affordable. Then Adam Jones happened. Bastard. But anyways, the previous owner decided to put a brass block under the bridge because pancake bodies aren't already heavy enough. It currently has the Will Adler set, my favorite fluences. The aged covers match the vibe and the finish checking. My poor luthier Wendell did a refret with jumbo stainless steel, and just for content, he retains the fret nibs. Don't do that to your luthiers, guys, especially not with stainless steel. It is a painful process. He also put in a brass nut to match the bridge block. The neck shifts quite a bit, even with minor temperature changes, like right in the middle of a tracking session sometimes, but it's a super resonant guitar. It sounds so good. This one though, rebuilt in 1974 Les Paul Custom, is much more stable. I also bought it as a husk in terrible condition. The goal was to make it at least playable. That's how bad it was. The end result though, even better than the 1972. Used white vinegar to age some Tone Pros hardware and lock in Kluson tuners, put in some custom bare knuckle Ragnaroks, stainless steel refret later. This thing was reborn as the ultimate sleeper Restomod build. These 70s customs are sick, man. The pancake bodies are stupid heavy. The necks are like ESP thin U's. They've got the oversized headstocks. A lot of guitars out of the Norland era are not good. I'll give you that. The consistency was wild. But when you find good ones in terms of spec and feel, they tend to be my favorite era Gibson. Gibson Murphy Lab 1968 reissue. This is like the only guitar I'm scared of playing, but it's cool. The custom shop already makes awesome stuff. I love the feel of broken in guitars, especially with the necks and fingerboard edges. So I was really curious about the Murphy Lab. And yeah, man, they're pricey as fuck, but they've broken this into perfection. It's incredible. Every time I pick it up, it inspires cool riffs, but like, it's too nice. It's so scary to play versus my beat up, rebuilt customs. ESP USA Eclipse, this one is super sick. I've been talking to ESP for a couple of years about taking a look at the USA line. They just revealed an Eclipse in gold splatter, so it was like, what about that, but in purple? Got some matte chrome Tone Pros hardware, and Bare Knuckle was kind enough to make a Unity humbucker set with custom purple splatter covers as well. Sounds super crunchy. This is like the modern equivalent to the Murphy Lab. It's that extreme level of insane quality, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like a collectible. I don't want to baby it. This feels like a player's guitar. PRS Tremonti 10 top. I'm a huge Tremonti fan. Saw one of these at my first NAMM show, and I was like, oh my god, that is gorgeous. One day I will own one of those, and in that color. And it happened as an 100K subscriber milestone. PRS tops are generally crazy nice, but especially this 10 top, the flame is outrageous. Paired with the inlays, the open gear tuners, handwritten serial, it's as much a work of art as it is a guitar. Legitimately, none of the photos or B-roll I've taken accurately captures just how good this thing looks in real life. You guys have been asking why there hasn't been a full video. I was trying so hard to get Mark Tremonti on for a demo track. Obviously, that is very difficult, and he definitely has better things to do. Doesn't look like that's gonna happen, so I just need to go ahead and make the video because PRS have crafted a masterpiece. Then it's another gear collection video, which means it's actually my annual excuse to just talk about how good the Eastman SP59V is. This guitar, man. Objectively, this is an insanely high quality guitar. Eastman got their start with classical stringed instruments, and they use that same antique varnish finish for even their electric guitars. The finish is incredible. It's unlike anything I've ever played from any other brand. It's like a Les Paul combined with an old violin, and then the fit and finish are perfection. Just so good. Then, in my opinion, this is one of the coolest Gibson USA Les Pauls from the modern era. Adam Jones Les Paul Standard. I still haven't forgiven him for ruining the Norland market, but it's basically his 1972 Les Paul Custom in Les Paul Standard form. Ebony fingerboard, mother of pearl inlays, volute, proper aged silverburst teardrop, same as you'd find on a Les Paul Custom. This particular one, you can see the grain of the maple through the finish. Personally, I think that's really cool. It sets it apart from all the other ones. Then my other Gibson USA Les Paul I got when I was working with Gibson, a Slash Les Paul Standard. Limited edition to commemorate the release of his solo album 4. Came with a whole bunch bunch of case candy. It was a whole proper experience. Only 250 were made. I am still in shock. Gibson gave me one for a video. That was really, really cool of them, and the pickups in this are fantastic. They're PAF-y, but hot, bright, and crispy. I use this guitar in demos all the time. Heritage H150 standard. These are cool. These are made at the old Gibson plant in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And to this day, they even use some of the old machines used on those golden age late 50s Gibsons. And I hate to say it, I don't care that it has a straighter string pull. The headstock is so ugly, and that put me off the brand for years, but that was a mistake on my end. Even if the horn and pickguard look a little off, it's a fantastic 50 style standard. Couldn't find any faults with the fit and finish, and the top is so nice. So it was like, okay, that's their standard level, and it's already a feat of guitar making. How much better can the custom core actually be? And this Artisan Age custom core is stupidly good. Still has that unfortunate headstock, but the quality is legendarily good. Legitimately Gibson Murphy Lab quality, at least in the 2 examples I've gotten to try, and it costs a couple grand less than a Murphy Lab. The top is nuts, the relicking is perfect, it feels so nice and broken in. Because I say it a lot, there's a huge difference between a proper relic and just straight up damage. But yeah, this is my current favorite faithfully 50 spec standard. Heritage's owners also revived Harmony guitars. This is one of their Jupiter models, kind of a Les Paul Special Telecaster hybrid. It's also made at the Kalamazoo facility. Harmony is technically one of the oldest American guitar brands, but the guitars back in the day were very Now they're kind of like PRS S2, reasonably priced, high quality American made guitars. And it's funny, personally, I think the body shape is kind of ugly. I don't know, it just kind of looks off to me. It's kind of bulbous at the bottom. But the comments always slam me for saying that because apparently it's objectively gorgeous. Either way, love the super old school aesthetic combined with the modern specs, like gold foil pickups with locking tuners. Let's go. Then Gretsch accidentally made one of the greatest metal guitars on the planet. It's a 30-inch scale length baritone with a Bigsby. It's like 600 bucks and it's just so much fun. I've been dying to put a roller bridge on it and locking tuners because even if you look at that Bigsby wrong, it goes attitude. But oh my god, man, drop E on this thing is ridiculous. High integrity Strat. This pink $30 beast is the guitar that essentially launched the channel. It originally came in this awful multicolored camo gig bag, super fitting, but the neck is actually awesome. A lot of guitars in the $200 and below price range have necks that feel like takeout chopstick wood. This one feels nice and oiled. So I thought it'd be funny to throw in 600 bucks worth of completely 100% necessary upgrades. I had no idea what I was doing at the time. I could not get the electronics to work. I had to send it off to Ken Susi of Unearth, and as I lay dying, he's the brand manager for Fluence. In fairness, these are not the easiest pickups to wire up, but I'm still surprised he still works with me after that. The bridge doesn't fit properly in the cavity, so it's permanently locked down. This thing is just super janky. I love it. It originally came with a sticker, Satisfaction Competitive, high integrity, and that described this project better than I ever could. So it stuck, and we've made it our own. Another one of my most played guitars, Squier Hello Kitty Strat, that's been high integrified. This one I managed to track down on New York City Craigslist. It was all the way out in Queens. I had to carry it back on the subway, through the airport, on the plane back to Atlanta without a gig bag. Pilot asked if he could buy it off me. I said, absolutely not, sir. Wired in a Fishman Fluence Modern all by myself this time. So proud. Put hip shot tuners in there, got it ever-tuned. It's so reliable. I know when I pick it up, it's in tune, it's ready to go. When I get writer's block, this is generally the guitar that gets me unstuck. This one sucks, though. Knockoff Hello Kitty 7 from AliExpress. The idea was, okay, even if it's trash, I can throw in an Evertune and a Seymour Duncan Black Winner. It'll be fine. It was not fine. I underestimated the amount of jank this AliExpress custom shop build would have. Bros, they forgot the truss rod. That is an impressive failure. So the neck is super bowed now. The action makes it virtually unplayable. I thought they'd print the pickguard. They hand painted it, which is both super janky and kind of really impressive. They did engrave my Mola logo on the back of the neck plate. That's cool. But yeah, I'm getting a new neck made for it right now because it's too metal a guitar to have it in unplayable condition. Moving on from a sadly trash guitar to one of the best guitars I've ever played, Valiant Jupiter. If you watch the channel, you've heard me talk about this guitar a ton, heard it in a lot of videos. Valiants are made in Ukraine. Their factory was damaged by a cruise missile a while back. They thought they were going to lose everything, but within weeks they were back making guitars. That's metal as fuck. And this is one we collaborated on. Stainless steel frets, bare knuckles. The metal parts are made of something called duralumin, an alloy usually used in aerospace applications. Bell bronze saddles, titanium reinforced neck with a roasted ironwood fingerboard. What the fuck even is that? Truss rod adjustment in the fingerboard. All that on a guitar that looks and feels like a well-loved guitar from the 1950s. Amazing Restamod style guitar. No one else even makes anything like it. Another Valiant Jupiter, not pre-beaten up, full modern 7-string baritone. Bare knuckle Ragnarok set, I want to say. Modern guitars that look classy as hell, let's go. And it's got all the little traditional style tone switches up there, still with all the aerospace materials. Again, just one of the best guitars I've ever played. Even more impressive given Valiant's circumstances. Fender Player Plus Meteora, weird shaped guitar that looks kind of ugly in certain colors, but really works in Silverburst for some reason. I had thought the Player Plus series was just a higher spec Player series, but it's Fender's surprisingly modern imports, locking tuners, flatter fingerboards, that kind of thing. They bamboozled us a bit with the pickups though. They're Fender Fireball humbuckers, so with that name you're expecting super hot, super high output chug machines. Nah, they're like surprisingly vintage and quacky. It's bizarre. Demo for this one is almost done, by the way. Should drop by the end of the year. Fender Tom DeLonge Strat, pop punk, and Blink-182 is a lot of people's gateway into distorted guitar music, myself included. I am so sad I missed out on the golden age of Warped Tour, but even growing up in China, we saw Blink's music videos, the live performances, and there was Tom DeLonge making dick jokes with his surf green Strat. So when they announced the reissue, had to jump on it. Seymour Duncan Invader, that's the same one that Sinister Gates uses. I mean, this is basically a metal guitar in pastel disguise. It chugs very, very hard, and it just makes me happy. Another surf green guitar, Fender's response to the Les Paul, a Vintera 2 70s Telecaster Deluxe. Big old wide range humbuckers, big old 70s headstock, just a lot of big with this one. And like with Gibson, Fender's 70s era is hugely underappreciated compared to the 50s and 60s. So a proper 70s spec Fender at a reasonable price, and in surf green, that's hard to say no to. The Tele Deluxe might be my favorite Fender design, actually. Probably because I'm a hoe for everything even remotely related to Les Pauls. American Professional 2 Telecaster Deluxe. This was my first American Fender. The color on this, dude. Love a Fender with old school specs like the ashtray bridge and brass saddles that's been given a modern metallic finish. Stingray RS, basically the fluff guitar. It's my first proper USA Ernie Ball Music Man, and damn, I can see why some players refuse to play anything else. The oiled necks on these things are insanely good. They're really interesting guitars for me because they're one of the few modern brands that make super modern instruments that aren't just pure metal machines. It's got very modern specs, but it's still kind of an old school guitar. Weird headstock, amazing instrument. Chapman ML2 Pro Modern, the older 2018 version, one of my favorite takes on the modern single cut. When it dropped, it was one of the highest spec imports. Stainless steel frets, lumen lays, rolled fingerboard edges. We take a lot of these things for granted now, but Chapman guitars really pushed import specs hard. And then it had a proper flame maple cap, not a veneer, neck through construction, which you rarely see on single cuts. This is my introduction to hipshot open gear locking tuners as well. In terms of specs, this thing really opened my eyes in a lot of ways. There's been a lot of negative sentiment towards Chapman guitars lately, both justified and not justified, but that doesn't take away from how well they nailed this guitar. But I'm fairly certain the top on this is the best one that they put on any of them. Solar single cut, the perfect Sunday worship instrument. This can be taken as either sarcasm or a serious comment, depending on where you worship, I guess. The most metal take on a single cut. Look at that reverse headstock. In transparent blood red, no less. Only thing I've done is throw in Keith Merrow's Fish Influences, so it's kind of a combo of two of my favorite OG guitar YouTubers. I've had it since about launch, and there's been no fingerboard cracking either, if anyone was wondering. Glary Burning Fire, this guitar is just terrible. I genuinely have not come across a worse guitar-shaped object in my life. This is how it looked out of the box. The neck is twisted. If you want it, DM me. I do not want it, but I have a hard time throwing anything technically new away. Then Schecter has all these out-of-the-ordinary models that fly under the radar, like the Super Shredder Exotic, black Limba body, anodized aluminum pickguard, ebony fingerboard with stainless steel frets, full Wenge neck. Who else does that? No one. And no one even seems to know that Schecter even makes this. I guess because it looks like furniture, like it doesn't look super impressive from a small stock photo, but it's a hefty guitar and the oiled feel of a Wenge neck, man, so good. No idea what Epiphone was thinking with this one. 1986 Les Paul 1, their response to the Super Shredder. Weird melted body, 25.5-inch scale length, and they probably threw on the worst tremolo in the world. Steinberger does make good stuff, but this tremolo has a metal piece that just wasn't built strong enough, so the entire thing just collapses under normal string tension over time. A previous owner lost all the fine tuners and the bar, but he did throw in a Seymour Duncan Invader, so take the win, I guess? It's such a weird guitar. My dude Aljon over at Gibson actually thought it was a fake at first when I sent him a picture. Believe it or not, they were not very popular, but I think at some point it would be fun to try and fix up. Indio OS20, Monoprice's guitar line, for less than 200 bucks. It's a fun time. What I like most about it is it's not just a standard Strat or Les Paul copy the way most budget brands go about it. It's an HSS Jazzmaster, routed for a trem. As far as mod project platforms go, that's a great option. Another one I've been dying to high integrify and give away. I've just been swamped, man. But as God is my witness, it will happen. Slick SL52, one of the more interesting budget options. A lot of brass hardware, sandblasted ash body. It's a very unique approach to a $300 guitar. Add this to the list of future mod and giveaway projects for sure. Then my favorite mid-range instrument of the year, PRS SE McCarty 594. We've been waiting for an SE version of the McCarty for ages. It's such a good 50s style Les Paul alternative. And then with this blue top, gorgeous. Best SE PRS I've ever made. And then this one, the updated Holcomb SE, I want to love it so bad. The blue looks great, ebony fingerboard with bird inlays. I just can't with the ultra flat 20-inch radius. It's so fucking flat, dude. It's like playing a wood plank, but the guitar sounds great. It's got the new Seymour Duncan Scarlet Scourge set, so I still use this quite a bit in amp videos. Schecter California Classic. This is on my must demo list for early next year. Schecter's now making super high-spec premium guitars at Fujigen in Japan. Not sure I dig the pumpkin burst, but literally everything about how this guitar feels and plays is impressive, as you'd expect from Fujigen. And look at the figuring on that neck, man. And this is the latest one I'm currently right in the middle of working on a demo on, Kirk Hammett's LTD KHV. Kirk's dropped like 6 signatures this year. This is the only one on the ESP side. It's also the most Kirk Hammett-y, I guess. It's like a modernized version of his Jackson Rhodes. Pointy shapes are not my thing at all, but it's hard to say no to this crazy red sparkle that a viewer correctly renamed Demonic Disco. Fender Noventa Stratocaster, kind of a what if Fender made a Les Paul special kind of a deal. Noventa means 90 in Spanish. I wonder what that could be a reference to. It's even got the red with the black pickguard. It sounds meaner than a Les Paul special though, in my opinion. It's got an extra twanginess thanks to the longer 25.5-inch scale length. This has been a popular parts caster build for ages, and Fender just went out and made it a real model. Sean Long of While She Sleeps' signature Charvel. While She Sleeps is such a solid band. I've been a huge fan for ages, stoked to see Sean Long get a signature, and the guitar is so clean. The neon logo glows under blacklight. How often do you see a maple fingerboard with no inlays? Even Jim Root is a fan. Another super clean Charvel signature for Phil Sgrosso of As I Lay Dying. Silver burst. The volume knob is hilariously banished to the far end of the pickguard. Single Fishman Fluence Modern, anodized pickguard. The toothpaste logo, chef's kiss. Ken Susi says he and Phil are both down to cameo on the demo track, so I need to get my ass into gear and actually do that because this is such a cool, straightforward metal guitar. Firefly FFLP, $200 wink and nod to Slash's Vermilion Burst Les Paul. Not the greatest guitar in the world, but good mod project bones for how much it costs. Still need to high integrify this and give it away to one of you. Maybe for 200,000 subs? We'll see if we get there. Another great mod project platform for the very little cash it costs, Donner DLP. Kinda want to turn this into a metal Les Paul special type thing. High integrity giveaway at 250K? Why not? Let's get ambitious. Fender Jim Root Jazzmaster, tried one of these in 2017 and just fell in love. Love the neck, love that it's a metal guitar with that traditional Fender classiness. It's so simple. So when a deal came up and on a signed one, had to jump on it. It doesn't get used that often in videos because I haven't had a chance to spray over the signature and protect it, but yeah, coolest guitar Fender makes. Epiphone Matt Heafy 7-string Origins. The original MKH7 was the first 7-string I'd ever tried. I was so stoked for the new one with its fluences and the longer scale length. Big, chunky 7-string Les Paul Custom. Gotta love it. Got this signed at the Trivium show when they came through too. That was really fucking cool of them. Matt even signed the case with the special message for my mom when I mentioned she wasn't a huge fan of his loud, screamy music. Epiphone / Les Paul Standard. This is the one that most normies are most impressed by when they come over. So how this happened was I really wanted Slash on the demo video for his Gibson. Like a collaboration with Slash, that's the dream. But his management was like, nah, he's too shy for the internet. How about a signed guitar instead? Truth be told, that's a great alternative prize. I was just expecting like a little signature on the front, not an entire Scully illustration. That is so fucking dope. He probably gives out a ton of these, but I choose to believe Slash and I were best buds for that moment at least. The switch got sheared off in shipping. Not even mad about it. It's so damn sick. Schecter Keith Merrow KM7 Mark III artist. One of the craziest spec imports ever, and one of the few guitars that looks better from the back than it does from the front. I've had this a while. It's a 7-string that survived multiple herd callings. It's the 7-string that I always seem to hold on to when all the others are booted out the door, when I remember that I'm not really a 7-string player. A pair of Harley Benton EX84s I helped Harley Benton spec out and then turned into Metallica tributes on a budget. They come with ebony boards, jumbo frets, Grover locking tuners, then put Kirk Hammett's Bone Breakers into the vintage white one and James Hetfield's Het set into the black one. Then a very talented artist friend of mine drew artwork inspired by the Papa Het guitar and this picture of a hangry seal snacking on a mola mola. She made it more of an epic anime battle, and because these are twin yin and yang, the seal is winning on the black one, mola mola is winning on the white one. I need to spray over them to preserve the Sharpie art because while they look really cool on the wall, they actually play really well too. Another Valiant, a Smith in mola black, another collaboration we did together. Slick, simple metal guitar, kind of a combination between a carved top single cut and an offset. Bare Knuckle Warpig, such a hot pickup. You can get cleans out of it with the volume knob turned down, but it will fight you. It wants to chug, and it wants to chug hard. Stainless steel frets, gloss top, satin back for speed. Again, all that Duralumin hardware. This time it's been blacked out for extra metal. Yeah, just a premium quality chug beast. The inlays are so cool, and Valiant, man, it's a miracle these guitars even exist, let alone that they're this fucking good. 10S GF Relic in Shell Pink I've modded with Fish-Influenced Will Adlers. Thin nitro finish, aged hardware, really nice ebony board with mother of pearl inlays, rolled edges. For 500 bucks, this was the closest you could get to a proper vintage Les Paul. 10S should have been huge. Instead, they buckled under all the orders, ghosted customers on custom orders after taking deposits. Really uncool. So I really enjoy playing this one, but that's why it doesn't get used in videos. They also made me a custom 7-string with a Poplar Burl top. People either love or hate this top. No one is on the fence about it, but I love it. It's so unique. Then the pickups have been replaced with Javier Rey's Fishman Fluent set out of curiosity, because while the main quest on this channel is to try every single cut on the planet, one of the side quests is to try every Fishman Fluent set. Gotta be honest, both are very much moving targets. Fender Player Telecaster, gotta have a white telly in the collection, right? I used to hate tellies. I thought they were so ugly. Big cutting board ass body, tiny peanut ass headstock. But one day, man, I'm telling you, if it hasn't happened yet, you will wake up and just want a Telecaster. May or may not be about the same time that you finally figure out what the hell a 401k actually is. And Fenders are so modular, they're so moddable. So I put Goto locking tuners, found out the hard way that vintage and modern Fender tuner holes are different sizes. Biggest thing though is I put in a 4-way switch to turn the two singles into one big ass humbucker. This should be standard on every Telecaster. It's wild how chunky it sounds now. My first electric guitar, a Squier Bullet Strat that's been modified beyond recognition. Got this when I was living in China at an authorized Fender dealer. It must have been an Asia exclusive or something because Fender has no record of an HSS Bullet Strat in black with a maple fingerboard, or it was just made out of whatever leftover parts they had lying around because it's got a full thickness body too, which Bullet Strats generally don't have. Skate stickers everywhere. I thought it was so cool at the time. Wired in new Buddha pickups. You can see where I completely hacked out the pickguard to fit a non-F-spaced humbucker, replaced all the hardware with Fender and Hipshot. There's a Fishman triple play MIDI converter in there too, because why not? Love the neck on this thing. I don't know if it's a thing with older Squiers or they just get worn down over time, but it's dark. It feels like it has an oiled finish now. Fingerboard edges have been worn down too from just so much playtime. Not the most beautiful guitar. A bunch of pickguard screws are missing. Who knows what happened there, but it served me well. It does Blink 182 songs like a beast. I'll never get rid of it. Another American Professional 2 Telecaster Deluxe. Nothing wrong with it, just had some finish defects. So I gave this one to Shiv for her to start learning guitar, and then we had a kid, so that plan hasn't quite worked out yet. Epiphone G400 Custom. This was my main guitar for years. It's modded to hell. Custom booted pickups modeled after Seymour Duncan Black Winners, but look like vintage PAFs. Seymour Duncan Fat Cat in the middle. If you have a 3 humbucker guitar, I cannot recommend that enough. Saved up all my summer job money to buy it, played shows with it, brought it on planes. It's the guitar I learned how to solder on, and it's the main reason I have such a soft spot for Epiphone and the old Epiphone headstock that no one else seems to like, but we move. Go to hardware, new nut, took a Scotch-Brite to the back of the neck, got all that poly off of there. These mid-2000s Korean Epiphones don't have the prestige of Epiphone Japan, but they're pretty damn solid and are pretty undervalued on the used market right now. And last but not least, lined up next to mine and Shiv's guitars is Frida's Rockamole. She's a beast, man, and the tone she's getting out of this thing, dude. So that is the 2023 guitar collection. What do you guys think? Is that enough? No, but again, I really appreciate the opportunity to nerd out with you guys about guitar. I know Shivani is too. I can see it in her eyes whenever I start info dumping about guitars. She's like, I literally don't give a shit. I've already started talking to brands about the eventual 200K giveaway. Stay tuned for that. Now, obviously, I can't play everything, so keep an eye on my social media. I price things to sell. Let me give you a deal on gear. That'll do it for this video. It's long enough. I'll have a part 2 going over amps, studio gear, and upcoming mod projects that are currently at my luthiers, so a kind of sneak peek of what's coming up on the channel next year. Massive thanks to my patrons for supporting the channel. Their names are up on the screen right now. Consider joining them if you like what I do and want to support the channel as well. Last chance for limited holiday Pringle merch. Use code Mariah for 15% off everything in the store. Social media, merch, and Discord server links are in the description. As always, thanks so much for watching. You've been awesome, and I will see you for the next video.